And like your 5A of the private schools, you're gonna have like.
Hey, yes, strolling in late.
What up, bro?
Keys.
You
Blocked in.
I think you'll be up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I got hopefully specific lighting set up for you today. So.
The private schools, yeah, like your 5A private school is gonna be like your Jesuits and stuff. That's,
Yeah.
But I don't. We were just BSing about some football until you came on. Look, that's Jesuit right there.
Oh. Yeah,
At
sure.
the bottom, John Curtis. Yes, the Division 1 is going to be a bigger school, so go to Division 2. That's probably what Vanderbilt's in.
Man, Vanderbilt playing good football, huh?
H.L. Bourgeois was playing some good ball last night, man. That's what started this whole rabbit hole.
won.
Yeah,
Yeah, Vanderbilt won behind a freshman. Freshman had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
They're the only local team that won them.
Yeah.
In Destrehan.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm saying local as far as all of them, you know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. In our parish.
So he said Destrehan kicked ass. I said, you do that with that Ed Reed money. You get one Hall of Famer come out your program, boy. Destrehan is just.
Oh, they also have a lot of money on the river right there, man.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he puts on camps, and all Destrehan players are allowed to come. You know, like he does a lot of stuff, and if you don't follow him or you don't know nothing about it,
right.
you know. Like I look at it, and I don't like, you know, we talking about comparisons.
Is that our Edie White?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 1?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, man. Look at them.
Yeah, but
What their score was against Vanderbilt a couple of weeks ago?
I don't know.
Vanderbilt couldn't have won if they had the lowest seed.
yeah, because they would have. Yeah.
Now I tell you, all of our divisional sports locally, it's all gonna look a lot different this year, man. We like Terrebonne got moved down to Division 2 for all the sports except, you know, like football and that. But like all the your cross country, wrestling, all that stuff, that's all Division 2 because we
That was
lost
for the
so many
Storms.
numbers.
Vanderbilt didn't
Lost
play
so many
Edie
numbers.
White this year.
Oh, all right.
The scores.
Like,
Yep, 2 scores. That's right.
Is it
after
possible
the
for them to
Storms.
play each other in the state championship, or are they going
they
to
all the way
side
at the
bracket?
bottom. They only could play each other
in the championship?
in the
They won in
championship.
6.
That'd be cool, man. To see them 2 schools in the championship, that'd be
And Vanderbilt's young.
yeah.
That's the
That's why
the
HL is old,
amazing
man.
piece. Well, everybody's really young right now. Too.
Not HL. HL got like 20-something seniors on
You
that
think so?
football.
Yeah.
I know so. I talked to them last night.
you're right.
I was at a game last night.
You're right.
Yeah, they're probably the oldest football team around here right now.
Well, with the season over, they might be about to become the youngest.
Right, you're right.
That's how it happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely happens that way.
Yeah, like we moved down Division 2
Man,
for
I need
wrestling.
coaster, man. I don't need the wife saying where this can mark come from awful.
We'll grab you a napkin. That's about the bathroom.
I think I got some coasters somewhere. It's maybe on that bench over there.
So when our very, very next podcast,
One recording or one we putting
record,
out? Whenever you want it to be.
just because I could get the brothers to come.
What's
Goody
the
Street Podcast.
The who?
The Goody Street Podcast with Sam and Dow.
Oh, if you want.
We got enough space.
Terrell slowing down a little bit. This look like stickers. I think he really ready to come on before his shorts, before his show start. We gotta get him before the show starts.
What's that next to that nutcracker? That pink.
No,
thing?
that's a Charger.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the first thing I looked at.
Yeah.
Like,
For love and bullets, baby.
yeah, man. But the crazy part about
Terrell
it,
Jasper. He's when
when they had the show,
a dating reality show. This dude.
Yes.
He's-
he started. Yes.
yeah. I saw it yesterday. I was like, maybe it's a joke, and then I pulled. I was like, oh no, this is legit.
Yeah.
Like he's really
For
doing
love
this.
of bullets.
For love and a bullet.
It's just like the Flavor of Love show.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like that.
That's funny. I'm gonna
And
watch
he's
that.
way more entertaining. Than
Oh,
Flavor
yeah.
Flav.
Way more entertaining.
He's gonna have these chicks doing some crazy stuff.
Jesus Christ, that's gonna be entertaining.
I just want a trip to the set for one time. I said, man, let me come watch the shooting, man.
Hey, he might need some security or something. We can go. We
He
can go.
might.
We put some security T-shirts
He
on.
get
We
big
got
enough.
some
He gonna
songs.
need security 24/7. That might be a good A good exit for some folks.
Yeah.
Yep. And get to play with all kind of guns.
Yeah, he's armed.
So, I know the last time I talked to him, I ain't gonna lie, we were sitting down and he was talking about the fence work and the camera system. He's like, why you don't record yourself? I'm like, I hate recording myself. You know? He was like, bro, you'll be amazed the people that just will be happy to see somebody install a camera. He said, that's how I make all this money off of YouTube. He said, I just be bored. And he make money. I'm like, I don't.
But he's got that personality. I'm the same way. I couldn't. I say I could. If I had somebody following me, I wouldn't.
Right.
But to sit there and do it self-recording all the time,
I'm too self-conscious.
Yeah, same here.
You know
I just couldn't. I can't.
You get used to it.
I don't know.
Why do you think I play football? And so my brothers play basketball, right? Why do you think I only play football? Because I could put the helmet on and disappear from people. You know, it's me, but I physically don't have to look at you and hear you. You know what I'm saying?
You can narrow it down that one.
So it gave me tunnel vision when I was on the field. So I like, even with coaching, people be like, man, TB, I know you heard me calling you. Man, I promise you, I didn't hear you say a word. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, man, I was 10 feet away from you.
What's crazy, bro, is like I can talk to my team and give them speeches and speak. But when you add a couple more people who I don't know in there, it's an art form talking in front of people.
Right. Public speaking is tough, man.
Right.
Well, I like public speaking. I just don't like being recorded, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it just comes natural to me. I don't really have to think about my words. They're really already there. So I could do that part. It's just knowing somebody recording you.
Right. It just raises a little bit of
But this helped me out a lot.
Right.
Us doing this helped me out a real lot. Like I went and watched a few of them just to look at my body language. And
you did?
Yeah.
That's nice. You finally watching our podcast, man.
Yeah, that's probably why we got 3 views on the last episode.
Oh man.
And you can tell. So because we had that little library going on, so we wasn't recording.
Right.
And we were doing those. You'd get 50, 60 views, kind of. The last 2 that hit right at the storm, and of course we wasn't recording, we wasn't promoting.
Right.
Like the one with like Byron got like 6 views, and I'm one of them for sure.
Right.
You know, so yeah, because you commented on you put some comments out there. I just saw it last night, so I mean,
I put some comments just to try to get
nothing, and it's been, and again, I mean, we didn't promote it because we didn't, it wasn't just time wise, but so I think we're gonna revisit that.
Share it, and I'm gonna share it tonight, and I'm gonna have just a caption on it. You know, healthcare deals, especially right now. Well, I know our open enrollment just closed,
right?
So it would have been huge if we could have did it.
Yeah, it's a cool concept he had, right? I don't necessarily agree with all his views on vaccinations, obviously, but
you didn't get vaxxed.
For me?
Yeah.
No. Well, I don't need to.
Why not?
Because my doctor said I'm good.
You got vaccinated? I was about to say, boy, I don't
I wanted to see what he was gonna say.
No, like I had, and I heard it interesting, and I haven't had a chance to fact check it, but I heard it on like one of the news agencies.
We record?
Huh?
We record?
Oh, I know. That's why I put it.
One of the news outlets that I was listening to last night.
Yeah, I can hear myself.
On the way home, I put on talk radio. And I'm listening to it. And,
old white man.
Yeah, they brought up a pretty interesting statistic.
You talk like that talk radio show.
Do I? Is it because I have a soothing voice?
I don't know.
As long as you don't start talking like a DJ.
No, fuck that. But anyway, they said that there's not one recorded case of someone who had COVID, recovered from it, passing COVID on to somebody else. They're making a point that natural immunity is actually high. Like I said, I haven't fact checked it.
There's no way in the world that they have that data at this point to say that there's not one known case. That's completely
that's no. Like I'll say this: there's enough data that there's not a known case. There's not enough data to suggest that you can't do it, right? So there's got to be.
But there's also enough common sense to say, I can promise you, if you've caught it, caught it again.
Right,
you could pass it on. I mean, there's your chances are much less. That like I can buy into all of that. But to say that,
I'm just telling you, right?
I'm getting. I don't know. The whole
So I don't really look into it like that. Like, and we talk about this going on 2 years now about this deal, and I'm just because everybody else is fully vaccinated or whatever, and then the travel restrictions is mainly one of the reasons I thought about it too.
It's the only reason I got vaccinated.
Other than that, man, like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to scare anyone or make anyone feel obsolete or not great, but I never felt sick. And yeah, it may come, but I never felt sick.
Dude, I know quite a few people that have gotten it, and I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know because I'm rolling through. Besides in a professional, personally, I don't know anybody personally that got it severe, but I know a lot of people personally that tested positive and had to quarantine and had mild symptoms, or worst case had flu-like symptoms.
Right, but that's the vast majority of people that catch COVID. That's
but it's also the vast majority of people that get the flu.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. That's why I hate that we're talking about this on the political side.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the issue, right? It's if politics had not gotten involved in the crap, you probably would have more people.
You have a 90+% vaccination rate.
Yeah. You have now. I'm not. I don't take the flu shot, and I think
neither do I.
And I think that's where a lot of it would lie. The people who take the flu shot would have probably taken the
But they also said from day one that this is literally tens of thousands times more contagious than the flu.
Right.
Which we know that it is. Right. Like
it's way more contagious. Yeah. Right. But it doesn't have
the deadly rate that they were. You know.
So
but
when we say we know that it is, like you say, so many of us have or known people that had mild symptoms. Before it was actually named COVID, it would still be the flu.
No. Right? It tests, when you do a test, you can see the difference of what it is.
Yeah, but what he's saying is if you go to the doctor, right, and they don't have a test for it, but you have flu-like symptoms, they're going to treat it like the flu.
No, because you do a flu test.
I got a Z-Pack, bro.
I get it.
I literally got the same medicine you get for the flu.
Because they didn't know how to treat it.
Right.
No, I went last Christmas. I caught it last Christmas.
But they still had no specific way of treating COVID.
Well, no, I get that, but they treated
correct
like it's influenza virus.
Correct, because initially they thought it was a respiratory illness, and now it's even gotten worse because they know that it has a much more proneness in heart disease, and there's so many other things that they know about it more. So they don't even treat it just like. That's why they're treating it now like with ivermectin and all these other things that people are going, oh no, it's why it kind of works because it's not just a respiratory issue like the flu, But I think the if you walk in to say, and like Tori was going to, is they thought they just have the flu. Well, you test positive for the flu. If you don't test positive for the flu, they treat you for an upper respiratory infection. Right. So I was reading somewhere that. Something along the lines of the testing procedure, especially early on with COVID, it's a nightmare.
It was set so sensitively.
That's still
that people were testing positive for COVID with hardly any symptoms because they had hardly any viral load in their bodies.
Like a billionth of something. Like it was to put commas behind the number to say this is what it takes to test positive.
But that raises a question on is COVID more contagious than the flu, or is they've
already done the lab studies, but the lab studies don't, right? So if you take 10 things and you test all 10, you say how quick are they going to jump? Like you can easily do a side-by-side comparison on any experiment, say how quickly things run. Doesn't matter on the test. Doesn't matter to see if it tests positive. Now you can see how quickly that spreads. That has nothing to do with testing.
Right. So my whole thing was what I was getting to in the beginning is when it first happened. Like he was saying, it was symptoms of the flu. So, like you said, they didn't give you a test, and if it didn't come back, they gave you something for upper respiratory infection, right? So, some people really just checked out on us with either form, because whatever the respiratory medicine they was giving in the beginning was really shutting people's liver and kidneys down. So, the COVID diagnosis versus the COVID death rate, that's
a whole nother. That's something else that is ridiculous, and that's why a lot of people didn't believe or don't believe how bad it is or really is because they inflated the death rate by
Right.
I mean, truly tens of percent. Like it was just it ran rapid.
That and they'll tell you these people died, and then you see a picture of them, and just look at the picture of them, you can tell there's like 5 comorbidities that went into.
Yeah.
You know, they're overweight, got a cigarette in their mouth. You know, like
Right.
Yep. Well, that was the thing that people were literally on hospice with cancer and caught COVID, and it became a COVID death.
Right. But that's all the political shit that got
exactly. And it's like, no, they died of cancer.
Right.
Or the dude literally, another one was a big story. Guy went to the testing facility, tested positive, was driving home, got in a car accident, and they named it. They said it was a COVID death. On his and his wife lost her mind.
Right.
You know, she was like, "Wait, no, I'm trying to go from a wrongful death lawsuit because this guy, you know, killed my husband in a car accident, and you have it as a COVID death."
Right.
You know, people don't realize that it's not only like it messes up the medical data.
Right.
There's so many other little things that go back, and it's like, why are y'all doing this?
I mean, there's studies that are starting to come out now with the vaccinating of like they're trying to vaccinate 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
And there's like left-leaning doctors, and I hate that we even have to say that, but there's doctors who are normally on the side of.
Did you say that?
What?
Left-leaning doctors are saying this. There's left-leaning scientists that say that global warming is.
But the problem is, if I just say a doctor, then people are going to automatically assume it's.
Let them assume that's optic, because the thing is,
what do you mean automatically consume this?
So this is the thing. Any doctor who speaks their opinion about COVID that is not in line with the left, then they automatically are labeled as the right. Doesn't matter. That doctor could have voted for Joe Biden.
Man,
you know,
I hate that.
Me too. Me too. But that's why I'm specifying that it's a doctor from the New York Post. That they had a recent article out about those doctors are saying that it's actually more dangerous for a 5-year-old to get fully vaccinated than it is for them to catch COVID.
Oh, there's no doubt.
That's myocarditis and all that.
Still fighting off and building up his own immune system. You know?
Well, it's also the way this vaccine works, right? Because of the spike proteins, it has to attach to things. Well, if the body is still not fully developed, you know, that's why it took so long, even for 18-year-olds and 16-year-olds to get, because of the developmental of your molecules and everything, to where these spike proteins could.
And kids are resilient, man. Their natural immunities are like.
Yeah, I mean, look, if this thing had the death rate
of a drink. Anybody want a drink, real quick?
Henny on the rocks.
Yeah, I would love to do one of those podcasts.
I hate the fact that everybody says it's a bad thing to get vaccinated. As a global society, we in a world of hurt, because 95% of our medical professionals are vaccinated. So if it's a bad thing, all our doctors, nurses, and people are about to die.
All of them?
You know, 95% of them.
No, because they fired like 40% of them not taking it. So 40% will be really well paid.
And that's the bad part about it too. You got people that actually work in the field that don't want to take the vaccine but has to lose their job. Yep. So that's still another mental deal. Public.
It's definitely not. It's not right. I don't think you should be able to. You should be losing your job, especially when you went through the whole pandemic unvaccinated. Yeah. You know, that's just, again, because it's political.
Politics, bro. Politics.
But let's turn the subject to something else that has some politics.
I just didn't want to.
Oh, okay. I lost.
Yeah, I unplugged you because I was going to move the cord around. You're only getting one today, Kobe.
That's all I'm drinking.
We don't need you in a heart attack getting, you know.
Right. I was just going to drink a bunch of these and run home.
Yeah. I thought Tori was concerned about you last time when you down 2 of them and like,
I'm good, man. Like I'm telling you.
Talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial in Kenosha. I guess it's. I am not.
Kenosha, yeah.
I am not into this. I have not.
Me neither.
Died a whole bunch, and like I've watched a couple clips. I mean, I know when it first happened, it was
right.
There, but I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about just got a brain fart there. The Netflix series with Kaepernick. I know you saw it, or you made a comment on it.
I probably was one of the first people to see it.
Well, your comment was the reason I went to watch it. Because
I've heard of I've heard a few hot topics about.
Yeah, you need to watch it.
I don't know.
You're not going to get past the second episode.
You don't think the second one? Cody,
maybe.
Think about Cody getting through the second.
Maybe. I mean, he might get
right.
through the second one. He's not going to make it
tough.
far.
It'll take him 3 days. Huh?
Yeah, he's not going to get far over.
Like I don't even want to watch it.
See, Cap. See.
Well, let's start there because this is going to be a shorter one than the Rittenhouse. Because the Rittenhouse, I think, is going to get we'll dive more into that.
Did nothing in it. So why you don't want to watch the Cap?
Because I don't like Kaepernick.
It's not. It's the message. It's not really about Cap.
I don't like the dude.
Oh, all right.
Like if they'd have just said, "Hey, this is a message," I thought, I don't like Kaepernick.
See, I don't like him either. I'm not a Kaepernick fan.
I think he's a spoiled brat, dude. That's what I think.
Well, you definitely got to watch the show if you think he's a spoiled brat, man. Honestly, I think Cap had it bad than if he would have just been in a single parent household. Because he had to struggle with his identity and who he truly was from the whole time. Even though he had a nice bed to sleep in, his own fork and spoon, his own spot at the table, he wasn't sharing clothes with any other kids. Man, I would have never traded lifestyles with Cap, to be honest with you.
I mean, look, I understand all that. I just
have you ever? You probably don't. You ever heard the show This Is Us?
No.
Go back and watch it. So I'll give you the premise of it. The premise is kind of the same thing. It's a white family. That wife is pregnant. She goes in. She has. This is going back out. So I'll just kind of paint the big picture. Goes in. She's pregnant with triplets. One of them passes away in childbirth. She's devastated. She's going postpartum. And
spoiler alert.
This is like the first 20 seconds of the show. Well, after she realized that a couple days in the hospital, she's like, I can't believe, and she already had, the big three, that they already had this name, and somebody dropped the baby off at the hospital. And so they adopted the baby. It was a black baby, so it's raised, and they were all born on the same day, so they were literally raised. But what Cap talks about is there's a lot of episodes, and the guy's name's Randall, in the show that Randall, after it's like season 2, that Randall starts coming through. He's like, y'all, and he's wealthy, like he's extremely successful, wealthy, and he's like, and he still has so much anxiety and mental health issues because of that. And this is where I want to go with it. Whenever you talk about, you wouldn't change it, and I'm not debating that, and I'm not debating Cap's upbringing was extremely challenging, but him being in that single family household, him growing up in a ghetto, him growing up with a drug addicted parent, whatever, would he have the same life he has now, where he has a platform and he can speak on this and he can bring more attention to these things? I would bet every dollar I have that he would not. And so when you say that, yes, he had struggles, but those struggles have made him to where he is now. So he's and this is my struggle with it. He's complaining, and he is complaining.
All right.
That a lot of these things and I get it. The struggle's real. It's horrible the way a lot of things happen. But you kind of kicking that gift horse in the mouth, going, this family that took you in, raised you as their, drove you to games weekend after weekend, did everything that you as a child wanted or aspired to be, because he wanted to be this quarterback. And this is his message.
But they wanted him to play baseball.
What's that?
But they wanted him to play baseball.
Because they thought that it was the better opportunity for him. So I get it, but that's a parent thing. Yeah. That's not a race thing.
See, once again, though, once you was looking at it as a parent thing. But you got to think about Cap when he's looking at it. Yeah, at first, I initially thought it was a parent thing. Then when they got to the point where you had to cut hair and your mom is sitting over there and calling you a they instead of Cap.
I understand that.
So once you get that distrust, regardless of what platform you giving me or what you are feeding me, that they statement made me realize I'm not a part of us. Because when you see me with my hairstyle like this, no matter what you raised me from as a kid, your mind and your heart made me a they and not a Kaepernick. So as a kid, growing up in this, and he showed it to you. Every time they had a stumble within his identity of who he truly was, they showed their true colors to what side they rather be. And you can't, as a parent, you either gonna be for your kid or you gonna be for your stance. And the kid don't see your stance until they grow up to be mature enough to understand where you was coming from. You know what I'm saying? So trust me, and I'm saying this because I didn't have what Cap came. And watching Cap and seeing Cap money and seeing Cap come up with all the people, quote unquote, conservative, left, or whatever we want to call them people, the moment he did what he wanted to do, them same people that gave him the platform turned their back on it. Now you come from a hood where you already know, one, it's all about me.
But who turned his back on? NFL backed him like they doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on his stance.
Where he's working at.
But that's his own fault. That's a talent-based thing.
That's a talent-based thing?
That he's not a quarterback?
So you think, I can name you 5 quarterbacks right now in the league can't hold Cap jockstrap. The Saints quarterback starting with 1.
From what I saw at the time, now look, I ain't watched football in 3 years.
Well,
so
you stopped me and said this was your stopping point, right? You said he lost his job because of his talent.
He was a backup quarterback to start with.
But let me ask you, but wait, I understand what you're saying. But that is such a subjective, it's an opinion, right? Because he doesn't, no, I'm just saying, you're saying that Cap doesn't have, he's better than 5 quarterbacks that are starting right now in the NFL. That's what
you would bet your finances that Cap wouldn't have the platform he have if he would have been in the hood with a drug addicted parent. How many NFL players you know right now?
Plenty.
So, and you was willing to bet your finances on it.
I'm talking about the way that he went up and where he's at. Because if you look at all the and again, I'm just looking like statistically wise, right? Statistically speaking.
So when I say about the 5
he had the
quarterbacks,
opportunities. No. You said the 5 quarterbacks on his talent base,
right?
So,
but I'm talking about.
But there's plenty people of color who are recruiters.
Let me finish my
counters.
statement first, so that way you can have a full range to speak it. So as I was saying, I can name 5 quarterbacks that I think Cap is better than, and you said it's my subjective opinion. Mm-hmm. So my subjective opinion, and coming from a background that you said Cap wouldn't have never made it from, was your subjective opinion, right?
Correct.
Because of the simple fact, I just doubled back and asked you how many people. I just doubled back and told you I can name 5 to 10 players that came from a background that you said Cap wouldn't have had this platform that's are in the league. So my subject opinion versus a few stats is no longer an opinion.
I think what Jared was trying to get at is he had a head start.
I'm not talking about that. Right. So, all right, for instance, if you go to a job where you make good money, but you never see your family, right? You want me to sit at home and say, hey, he shouldn't be complaining about not seeing his family because he made good money?
No. I mean, because again, that's a choice.
Exactly. So he didn't have no choice in this situation.
What you mean?
Cap didn't have a choice?
I'm talking about, we talking strictly about his show, his upbringing.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I didn't watch it,
right.
So I'm not going.
So I'm telling you, based off of what I saw this man go through, especially when he didn't want to play baseball, and his baseball coach and his parents, because that's what they wanted him to cut his hair. To you, it's nothing. To you, it might be nothing. But to Cap, I guarantee you that destroyed him for about 5-10 years.
It shows that in the series. So I understand that.
I have a question because I didn't see the show. So are you done? Because I didn't want to.
Well, I mean, go ahead, man. You ain't see the show, so I got to break it down to you.
Well, so I had a question about the show because one of the hot topics that I've seen online and what it is his comparison in the show of the NFL to slavery. Right. That's a hot topic on a lot of.
We didn't get there yet.
So once again, I mean, who would deny it? Like if he showed you exactly how, I mean, he showed it to you.
I didn't see it. I know you didn't. So it's hard for me to comment. That's why I'm asking.
That's a fair analogy to compare the NFL to slave owners or the NFL owners to slave owners.
So he really only showed you how they pick them.
Correct.
How else? But
I don't know how they pick a slave is, and to say Yeah, I mean, you want them for work ethic, but they didn't have a choice to be in this line. You got a choice to show up to the combine.
You still not. He ain't say. He never said you didn't have a choice. So see, he put something on there.
Well, you could do that to every job applicant that requires physical ability.
It's not the same.
How?
What you mean?
Just what I said. So if you hiring a lot of workers to go out and
so you ain't see no similarities outside of a choice, right?
No. That I definitely, because again, he paints the picture very well. I'm just saying it's. I don't think that's a fair analogy to sit here and say that NFL owners are comparable to slave owners.
Why wouldn't you say that?
Just what I said, because they're not forcing anybody to do anything. That's the whole thing with slavery, right? Like, is that you're going to sit here and to have somebody. So nobody's forcing you to be in the NFL.
But you got to know the whole. All right, you're right. Nobody's forcing you to be in the NFL. It's true. Nobody else, right? So they do give you an option to be in the NFL. All he's showing you is how they pick you. That's all he's showing you, right? So he's showing you by the characteristics, by your speed, by your height, and by what you could do.
But how else are you going to pick an NFL player?
What you mean?
Like, am I supposed to go pick NFL players by their personality and that's going to a football game?
By their personality?
Yeah, like this guy's a real nice fellow. I'm gonna
right
put him
now,
on the offensive line.
It's your character that could get you kicked out of the league, correct?
Well, because they have codes of conduct.
I'm just answering your question. I mean, we picking people for personality. Michael Vick could have said he was immunized and not get the COVID shot and only be fined $14,000 and be playing in a week.
I don't know.
You think that character flaw could work like it's working for A-Rod?
What I'm asking.
I answered.
What I'm asking is, how else do you pick a competitive sports team? How else do you pick a competitive sports team if not by their physical attributes?
So you ain't never thought the most physical person was turned down over character? You never saw somebody with all the physical attributes.
So yeah, let's back it up. So does personality and character flaws have anything to do with them as well? Yes. But it's definitely overwhelmed. You can have the best character and not get in the NFL.
That's what I'm getting at, right? Like you could be the best dude in the world, and it doesn't qualify you to be an NFL player. You can
also be the strongest, fastest dude in the world and not get into the NFL.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Because it's a job.
Right. Correct. But it's also being picked by who?
I mean, talent scouts and coaches and owners and everybody that's involved in that process.
The ones that are footing the bill.
If his argument is that's not
that's
diverse,
not his argument. Though.
Okay, I get that.
You making that his argument.
No, I'm not.
All he is showing you is the process. When you came over here as a slave, they brought you here. They made you spread your wings, see how tall you was, see what your weight was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To see how much they could sell you for you to be able to work.
Yeah, but nobody's selling.
Person. If so, they honestly are selling them.
They are selling them. There's no doubt. They make money off of your abilities.
Right. They make money off of your name. That's called employment. They make money off of your
but they also make like $100 million a year.
And they could take it from you at certain points. And
I mean, it's contractual base, but
so your employer can't do the same thing to you.
My employee cannot take any money from me.
So when
they can fire you tomorrow.
They ain't taking that from me though. They just firing me.
Oh, you're talking about like fining you and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's part of the contract.
My employee also can't say, "Hey, Tory, man, you know you did good last week. They offered us $14 million for you. We're gonna ship you to Texas."
But you also didn't sign up for that job either.
Once again, if you taking everything
and for that kind of money, I'll move to Texas right now.
Showed for the whole deal of slavery, that's where your brain stopped at. All he was showing you was just the comparison. He was just trying to show you to open your eyes.
But when you show it that way, you're insinuating that there's... That's
what you take from it.
No, that's not true.
That's an automatic assumption by a lot of people.
So when you tell me Cap put a show out for a message, or Cap took a stance and ain't say a word for a message, and you tell me I think that's horse shit, I don't like him. So right now, just off of that, you telling me that, I should be able to be like, well, fuck, I don't like Cody because he don't like this man that took a silent stance.
I didn't say I didn't like his stance.
I'm just giving you exactly what you just gave me back to you in reference with you actually in the situation.
You're losing me. It's hard to follow that.
How? What you just asked me.
What I'm telling you is, if I if I try to compare something to slavery and I am comparing to slavery, nobody has to guess what I'm comparing it to.
So,
like, I don't understand why you, like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that we're even debating that he was the one trying to compare. I'm gonna
without having any knowledge of it, I'm just talking to the wall. Because you ain't see it. So
that's why I was asking. And from what y'all describing, you're describing the selection process of the slave, which I'm familiar with because of history, and the selection process of NFL, which I'm familiar with because I was a huge NFL fan.
You have to watch.
I'm gonna go watch it. I'll
watch just that show. You can skip one and go straight to 2.
That's what episode 2.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is, right. Yeah. So my whole, and again, I watched every episode. I didn't dislike it. It wasn't something that. It's the way that he portrayed that instance. I was like, I got the analogy, right? But I wasn't a huge fan of going because they're not many. But and then that's the argument of not having enough diversity in the selection process in NFL. Then I would agree with that. But there's a lot of people in NFL that I would say that
because they got a chance.
No, well, again, that's every great, because again, if you are a player that's your ambition to do that, then you should be grateful that you have, number one, have the ability to get there, and number two, have the opportunity to sign that contract, right? Now, do you not? Is that something that you don't agree with?
So, man, it'll be hard for you to understand if it makes sense. Like,
it is hard for you to understand,
and that's why we always hear
it is. It is hard.
You don't really get the full global experience of it. You know what I'm saying? Even with watching it from a different point of view, it's still hard for you to really grasp the concept. So here, all we can really do is talk and try to get it. And if it's going to be question after question compared to something else, no situation is ever the same. We only can show you similarities. And that's all Cap was showing you, was the similarities to it.
But do you not think there's a difference between showing similarities and painting a comparison?
Outside of, if you take
just answer. When we ask you a question, you always come back with a question.
Right, because you never answer my question. When I just asked you a question, and guess what you did?
What did I do?
You asked me a question. What was the answer to what I just asked you?
What did you ask me?
I said, so from the full concept, you never really get the full concept, right? So I said he only shows similarities from slavery to the draft process.
And I agree with you.
And the only difference is you get paid.
And I agree with you. It wasn't a question to me.
And then I said, so you only see that part, right? And now we are in a full-blown slavery. So all I did was give you the open entry of how the slaves were presented. And here we go with Tory. How can you picture the NFL with slavery? Well, he showed you exactly the portion of it that he wanted you to see.
And I understand.
So how we get slavery out of the slavery pick process? Because that's what he showed you, how slaves were properly picked and sold. Not how you just was all grabbed, put in the boat, bought here and there. Here, you take this one, you take this.
He compared it to that. I mean, when you.
Well, that's what my question. That's what my question was to you. Like, I got what you were saying, and I said.
But you didn't ask. My question is how we get the process of picking slaves versus draft to
that's a statement, and I agree with you.
Hold on.
How do we get?
I'm gonna answer that question. And for me, I can't speak for Jared, but we got there because of the comparison that he painted.
Of what?
Of slavery to the NFL process.
Like of what process of slavery? Because slavery is a long process. It's not just about getting drafted or being picked and weighed. So the process that I saw in the show, and I might have missed something, was the draft process.
Correct.
He didn't show you picking corn. He didn't show you picking cotton. He didn't show you getting whipped. He showed the draft process. So once again, if I give you A and B, why am I all the way at F?
I understand you. I understand what you're saying, but then you still didn't ask me a question. Like, that's a statement.
That is a question.
So you say, how do we get there?
How we get there? You asked me about
that. My answer was because of the comparison. And let me just, and then that's why I asked you. So do you see, in your mind, is there a difference between something that you're making a similarity to and something that you're comparing something to?
I saw a lot of similarities from the slave process.
So I can say that your shirt is the same color as that camera, right?
Yes.
And the only thing that I am saying is the color of your shirt to the color of the camera. I'm not talking about how the shirt was made, how the camera was made. I'm not talking about none of that. Right? It's a similarity.
Just to the color.
Correct, because it's a similarity, because that's what I gave you.
Right.
But in the way that I took that 3, 8, 12 minutes with similarity, he was painting a picture as this is what because they showed him transitioning, shaking hands, the whole and that, I'm just telling you what I saw.
Right.
Was a comparison, not a similarity.
So,
and I could have taken it. Look, if you took it as just I didn't.
I mean, because I know
because you know where he's coming from
every day, right? It ain't nothing that I just see and be like, oh.
But this is why we do this,
right?
It's to show you what I see,
right?
To be what you see.
So when I tell you what I see, and then you say, "Well, Tori, that's not the same thing because people are getting paid," but we're not talking about the whole logistics of the NFL.
Okay,
just the selection process.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, but I can see that if you narrow it down to just the selection process, where you're looking for the biggest, most physical, most strongest. Yeah, I get that. If you stop there, same way they select horses and race horses, and yeah, I get it. I understand that.
That was my only thing. It was like, because for me, like I said, when I took it, and when you break it down as just that, knowing Cap's background and his history of what the dislike he has with the NFL as a whole, because
he has or the NFL has with him.
It's mutual.
I think he definitely has a dislike with the NFL, and I definitely think the NFL has a dislike with him. But the NFL didn't produce this documentary or this series.
I mean, why would I let the NFL produce my documentary?
No, I don't think they should. I mean, this is his shit. Right. That's what I'm saying. This is his perspective. So knowing the back, if you'd just watched this, not knowing nothing about Cap, I see how you look at that. I can see myself looking at it the same way. But I guess the way I looked at it, because I do know that backstory, that I took it deeper. Right? So
I could take it deeper too.
You
but
could, and
that's not going to do anything good.
You're absolutely right. And that's why I was just kind of like,
But I would love to hear your deeper synopsis of it.
Of what?
Of the Cap story.
Oh, I mean, look, I agree with everything that you said, and I referenced it because again, I've watched every episode of This Is Us.
Why don't we do this? Because I feel like I'm cut on out because I didn't watch the show.
We don't want you to do stuff you don't like. It's the American way. You American, you got rights to do what you want to do, and we don't want you to do nothing you don't like.
I didn't like being cut out the conversation.
Hey, that's why you got to educate yourself.
But for the sake of being able to have an educated conversation on this topic, we can revisit this next time we record.
Yeah, for sure.
And I will go and watch the show for y'all and for the show, right?
But you gotta watch every episode.
I'm gonna watch every episode, whether they bashing the police or not. I'm gonna go watch it all.
See,
I didn't get none of that.
I didn't get that neither.
Well, I'm trying. Stop. Listen. Let me talk. The only reason I said that is because you said I can't get past episode 3. So that's the only thing I could think of.
It was 2. It's gonna show you.
Yeah,
that's why I said that because he's like, he didn't get past episode 3. The only thing I could think of is because they were like bashing my professionals.
I don't really think. I mean, it's gonna come some police points, but it's not really
nothing that would go
crucial.
Yeah, things.
I'm gonna go watch it. Yeah. I'm gonna watch it, and we'll revisit. We'll talk about this on the next episode. It'll be a good topic because it seems like we can go pretty deep on it.
Oh, we could. So it could probably run us 2 hours, especially once you get up on it.
I think you'd be surprised. But look, I'm very.
I won't be surprised on your take on this.
I'm very sympathetic to people in their plights, right? Individually. So I mean, I may surprise you on some things because I can sympathize with the man and his plights.
Man, Cody, I want you to be you. Like, I understand. Like, if we breaking down barriers to where when we leave here we understand each other.
No, I'm gonna be me. You know that. We've gotten.
But I don't want you to initially. Like, I want you to go in that mug with the Cody face. Like, I know this shit gonna be whack.
Oh, I will. Going there with the hater cap,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it won't take you long knowing that your position for that emotion to come out.
Right. So I need to see as soon as you sit down.
He is him right off the bat. Like, yeah, he's
we'll see.
His words, his phrases, his analogies, everything he ties.
My thing is too, like, also what I want you to do is just because 9 times out of 10 you guys played TPR football and probably only had 1 or 2 black people on y'all.
I didn't play TPR ball. My first year was homogeneous.
Serious?
Yep.
You played any TPR sports?
Baseball, but for a few years.
And that kid might not have been the smartest or the greatest, but because of his ability, he probably got the ball in certain situations and stuff like that. And then when it came to certain times, he was just pretty much looked over. Not saying that happens to everybody because, to be honest, my brothers that played basketball, they always went play on an all-white team just so they could be ball dominant, you know? And because the coach basically came and said, "Here, man, I just need you to score the points and I'm going to have a team that's going to just follow behind you," you know? So that's not a bad thing. Only good thing about that is that white coach was kind of like a father figure and he really had our back 100%. So
I see it a lot with Coach Key. Like that's one of the things that he always did in our group that I felt like there was, and maybe your experiences are different, but he was really good at bringing, like, we were a team. There was no.
Yeah, but Coach King, I think, meant more to me than.
Oh, me too, no doubt, because he was our position guy. We were with him, but I saw Coach Key as.
But like to me, like Coach King, Coach Brown, Coach Nikes, like that's what made our team.
No doubt.
Those three coaches.
No doubt. Because they challenged each other.
Yes.
Right. And they challenged us.
But guess what? He's the one that put them.
He is. Look, so I'm not trying to take anything from him like that.
He was like
the grandpa.
And he was the person that, like, no matter what, we got along. Right. Like, even if there was fighting, it was bullshit. Like, y'all shake hands, y'all hug it out. Right, we team, we brothers at the end of the day. And, but you'll watch that in cap thing. I want to get to this because I know we run out of time. Y'all got to go. We got about 40 minutes. Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know. I'm sure you know what this is about. I've caught clips.
Now, I'm sure you could probably Google just if we want to take the time to play it. There are videos out there on YouTube that have no commentary. It's just every video that Kyle Rittenhouse was in that night, all spliced together. It's about 5-10 minutes. I don't know if that's something you want to look at, or if that's something that we want to bring into light, or we can pull certain ones up as we're talking.
Talk about it. Continue going. You seem very knowledgeable.
Well,
he's very knowledgeable.
Well, it's one of those things that I've kind of followed just because of the whole self-defense issue, and that plays into all of us. Mm-hmm. I'll get out there in front of it. I think the boy is innocent. I think that it's self-defense. What he did, clear cut. I think he may have some minor crimes, like having a rifle, non-hunting, or whatever the little misdemeanor offense is that they have for him being 17 in possession of a rifle.
Of an illegal firearm?
It's not necessarily an illegal firearm. It has to do with the age. It's the age that he had.
Correct. So would that be an illegal firearm?
No,
he's in possession.
No, an illegal firearm would be like a fully automatic weapon.
Well, he's in possession of a weapon that's not legally his.
But the firearm is not illegal. Him having that firearm is legal. There's a difference.
Okay.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
So, I'm a kid.
Right.
I travel across state lines.
Okay.
I'm going to the protest. So let's just say I'm going to protest.
Okay.
And I'm armed with a rifle that's not mine. Well, it might be mine, but not mine.
It's not his.
Legally.
It's not his rifle.
It's not his rifle.
How many other people died that night outside of his incident? I'm not sure. I know there were some injuries. I don't think there was any other deaths. But he wasn't going to participate in the protest.
All right.
He was there all day long, cleaning graffiti. He was there helping out. And look, let me just back up a little bit, because you hear in the media that he traveled across state lines. And when we think about that, we think about driving to Mississippi,
right?
Driving to Texas, driving to Arkansas, driving to Florida, hours and hours of driving time to get to where we're going. He was 15 minutes away from the state lines. Right. He worked in Kenosha. This would be like us driving from here to Thibodeau, right? So the whole state line thing, that's a narrative that's put forth to make it look like he traveled a long, vast distance.
Hey, that's what the media do with everybody.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
They ain't calling him a thug or a criminal.
They definitely. There's a lot of people calling him a criminal and calling for his head and wanting him to go to jail for the rest of his life.
I think he should go to jail the rest of his life.
For what?
What you mean for what?
No, I'm asking for what.
Finish your story. I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, so he did not travel across state lines with a rifle. That rifle was given to him by one of a family friend. Okay.
A family friend?
Yeah. His dad lived in Kenosha.
So I need to go clean graffiti with a rifle?
He didn't clean graffiti with a rifle. Later in the evening, he was tasked by his employer to help protect the property of his car lots.
Mm-hmm. You can't say that.
Why can't I say that?
Because we don't know that as fact.
Finish. Go ahead, finish.
What's that?
Don't know that as fact.
Go ahead, finish.
This is his story, right? You're giving his remnants of his day.
I'm giving his story. The rest of the people that were at the car lot interviewed.
But it's people that were with him, his associates.
Like we didn't see in none of
it's even a widely accepted fact in the court that he was there tasked by his employer. Like that's even been brought up in court, not even challenged by the prosecution.
I understand that.
Well, I mean, a lot of things go on in court that's not challenged.
But what I'm saying is, like we're trying to make a big deal out of the fact that the even if the owner had not tasked him with protecting the car lot, he still has a right to be there. Not on the car lot, but on the street where the shit was going down. He had a right to be there.
Right,
I understand that. But my point is to say that you had to have a reason to do something, or it allows some kind of justification, right? And like we were talking about before when we first walked in here, if it can't be permissible in court, it shouldn't be part of a conversation explaining something.
It's not that it's not permissible.
It's not permissible in court. It's not fact. The guy will not testify.
It's been brought up in court. He can't find him.
That's my point.
He left.
It's the same reason why people in the mob don't get convicted of shit, because they never find the person that. So I get that he hauled ass. He can't. But to sit here and say that he was asked to do something that Jared, you can't verify is hearsay.
This is the thing, okay? We'll back up a minute. If Homa is burned to the ground, okay, because we have riots in the street, mass riots in the street, and you hire 30 people to protect all your pride financials, and 30 people are all saying the same thing. Jared Landry hired us to protect his property, or asked us and tasked us to protect his property.
Jared Landry's not hiring 17-year-olds
and we can't. Jack. I get that, but
and neither is any other.
Please let him finish. Okay. Don't give him no reason to cover up. Please, I want him to go through the whole spiel. Go ahead, sir. Finish.
So, if we have 30 people saying the same thing, right? Credible, all neutral, detached people, for the most part, saying that Jared said that we were tasked to protect Pride Financial. And Jared done took off, right? I would lean towards he was probably tasked with protecting the place that he worked at, right? Mm-hmm. Even if he doesn't or he wasn't, the point's even still kind of mute because he has constitutional rights that are protected. Okay. I mean, you can all you want. It's a constitutional right.
I know, man, but God, it's taking you so long to get through this.
Well, I mean, speak, Bubba. I'm not.
No, I can't. I need to hear your, because you said you was giving me or giving us your point on it, and like right now, I think you're probably like a quarter into your.
Well, I kind of lost track because we sidetracked.
I'm sorry.
I kind of lost track of what.
So all right.
Well, so you're saying that he was tasked. He was tasked by his employer
to clean up the graffiti and protect
and
the
to come and to protect the parking lot. And that's where you're going with.
Right. Oh, what I was getting at was that's when the rifle stuff came into play, because he was tasked to help protect these several car lots because some ones previously have been burned. Like those videos stuff you see of all those cars on fire, and that's what the owner of these car lots was concerned about. So he asked them to come and try to keep the rioters and looters away as a deterrent, so they wouldn't come on his car lot and burn his livelihood to the ground.
Right.
That's why he was there with a rifle. Now look, I 100% agree that my 17-year-old son would not be in the middle of Kenosha, in the middle of a riot, with a firearm.
Trying to protect
the parking lot. He wouldn't. But he has a right to do that.
He does.
And I would venture to say, with the exception of the people who were just actually protesting peacefully, right, that he had more of a right to be than the rioters, because they're committing criminal acts. Just as much
But
right.
all of them are rioters.
They're not all rioters.
But they've been classified as that.
Right.
If you were there, you were a rioter.
I mean, I'm telling you my personal.
Okay.
Right.
Okay?
That's your personal. But
My personal. If you're not committing riotous acts, you're not a rioter. You're a protester.
Okay.
Right. That's how I feel.
But there were plenty of protesters.
There were, and there were also plenty of rioters.
Correct.
Right. So
Okay.
which one? So all right.
So this is the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I would argue that he had more right to be there than the rioters.
Correct. Rioters have no rights to be there.
And just as much of a right to be there
as the
protesters.
I would agree with that, and I think that the majority of people would agree with that.
Right. So whether we feel like he should or should not have been there, that's not illegal. That doesn't deserve that he goes to jail for the rest of his life because he was there for a reason that you don't agree that he was there. His intent was not, he didn't wake up that morning and say, I'm going to kill me a bunch of people out of protest.
You know that for sure.
He had ample opportunity to point his firearm at people or shoot at people earlier in the night, and he did not. He didn't.
So I heard him say he was scared because one guy told him he was going to kill him.
If somebody told you they were going to kill you, you wouldn't be slightly afraid at 17 years old?
I've been told I'm going to be killed 1,000,000 times.
And it don't make your blood pressure go up? Now, this is the first I hear about this, but...
He testified to that.
I must have missed that part of the testimony.
He said somebody told him they was going to kill him and he got scared.
Okay.
All right. So, just by that alone, he's trying to show you he was scareful of his life.
Well, a comment doesn't make you fearful for your life.
I feel the same way.
But he didn't shoot that guy.
He did.
At that moment, the guy said, I'm going to kill you.
No, he didn't shoot him at that moment.
Okay.
But he shot him.
Okay, when?
When the dude was walking down the street.
He didn't shoot anybody that was just walking down the street.
Who he shot?
Okay, so the first...
Well, you didn't even hear... So my thing is, I don't
That's
really
the guy
want to go back.
The guy that he
with
shot
you.
that said that he was going to kill him was the guy that testified that didn't die.
Right.
That guy said that he pointed a gun at him. That guy testified...
Because he has a gun pointed at him.
Right.
That's not true. That's not... Let's stop.
mean,
Listen, before y'all go into that, go watch the video.
That's his testimony,
You didn't even know he
That's
said
the guy's
that.
testimony.
You ain't even know Rittenhouse said
that he
a guy
has a gun.
told me he was gonna kill me.
Well, I don't have 12 hours a day to watch.
None of us do.
But I've watched a lot of the trial.
Colin, listen to me though. I'm saying, so when we say something or you say something incorrect, you tell us stop, go watch the trial. But when you say something incorrect, you say, "Oh, I didn't hear that."
Okay, well, I'm trying to have a conversation about that. Did I say the man didn't say it? You said you
didn't hear it.
Okay, and what I told you was that the guy said it to him. He didn't turn and shoot the guy for saying he was going to kill him.
But on the stand, he's trying to show the jury how terrified of a 17-year-old he was and how his mind got into that state, right? So, one, my employer, how you doing, 17-year-old Cody? Would you like to come here tonight and protect my car lot? I know you've seen the riots over the last couple of years. It could get pretty hectic.
Okay.
So, once, if I know it might have 10, 300 people might come to this parking lot and set something on fire, I'll have to know that I'm going to have something to protect myself.
That's why I had the rifle.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You see where I'm going? So now you on the stand and you presenting this I'm terrified of my life story, but you didn't know the consequences of possibly doing this when your employer invited you here?
That doesn't matter.
What you mean it doesn't matter?
It doesn't
so
matter.
You didn't have that same... So right now your employer could say, hey, Cody, no gun, no nothing. I need you to come here and protect this place. You ain't going to sit down and think, all right, I got my wife. I got my 3 kids at home.
Yeah, I'm bringing my.
These are the consequences that are possibly going to happen when I go here for this ride. Right?
Okay, but that's not illegal.
I'm not saying it's illegal, Cody. Well, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it afterwards. All I'm trying to get you to understand is, if I'm this terrified of somebody saying they're going to kill me, I should have had that same mentality before I accepted to come and try to protect some vehicles.
He's 17 years old. He's not going to have that perspective.
Right? Until you do something wrong. Yeah. Now you sitting here with all these emotions and thinking, I was terrified for my life.
So let me ask you this. Because we don't agree with the fact that he should have been there, and because he went there knowing there was a risk, he's got to let 3 people kill him in the middle of the street? He doesn't have a right to defend himself?
3 people killed him? Or he alive?
They tried to kill him.
They tried to kill him?
Yes.
What they did? What injuries does he have?
You want me to go into how they tried to kill him?
No, I want you to tell me. I don't want you.
It doesn't matter.
What injuries does he have?
If I point a gun at you and you shoot me, do you have any injuries?
So how they tried to kill him?
If you let me.
If I point a gun at you, don't necessarily mean I'm pulling the trigger, right?
But I have a right to shoot you if you point a gun at me.
How did I try to kill you?
I absolutely have a right to shoot you
though, Cody?
if you point a gun at me in a threatening manner. I absolutely have a right to shoot you.
How did I try to kill you though?
You pointed a gun at me. So I have to wait till you shoot at me before I defend myself?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I mean, no, you're a cop. We know they don't do that.
Even if I'm not a cop.
We know cops don't do that.
Listen to me. If I point a gun at you, Tori, you have a right to shoot me in my face.
I have a right to. So
yes, you 100% do.
So
100% do.
If I'm walking across the street and the car is at the red light and they rev their engine as if they're about to take off, and I got a gun on me, can I shoot them?
No.
Why not?
Because your knife's not in immediate danger right now.
How you know that?
Because
it's your choice distance versus my choice.
Listen to me. Every self-defense situation is inherently different because they have a human factor, right?
What's the human factor?
The human.
All right.
So, if it depends on how far away you are from that car, if the car is just revving their engine, or if they actually proceeding forward toward you, trying to hit you, it depends on where you are.
But if I'm pointing my gun at you, for me to actually kill you, I have to pull the trigger. Or for me to actually bodily harm you from a distance, I have to pull the trigger. If you're my truck and I'm right here and you revving your engine, I'm assuming you're about to.
You compare revving an engine to pointing a deadly weapon at somebody like a gun.
That's not a deadly weapon if it comes at me.
Revving the engine is different than throwing it and coming at you.
Too.
No, it's not. It is different. You're right.
Y'all point guns every time. Every time.
That's where I was
every time.
Everywhere you go, it don't even have to be a violent thing. It can be a regular traffic stop.
That's where I was going to go.
What you gonna do? You gonna pull out your fucking gun.
You don't. But it happens.
A lot of cops do it. And the moment somebody start killing cops, you gonna say, Tori, that's a different situation.
That happens
it's protocol.
every day.
Cops do not pull a car over for speeding.
Man,
and pull their gun out and point it at
you ain't never seen a cop pull out his gun just for the assumption. Never, ever on your job.
On a felony traffic stop? Yes.
What's a felony traffic stop?
Like somebody wanted for murder or something like that? Yes, the guns are out. Yes.
Okay, but let me just, because this is where I was about to go. When you said you have the right as a civilian to pull the trigger to shoot somebody if they point a gun at you.
Yes.
I know it's not an everyday occurrence, but I promise you I can pull up 10,000 separate video incidents where somebody got pulled over for a minor traffic stop, got mouthy with a cop, right? I'm not telling you I'm going to kill you. I just mean like, man, why the fuck you pulled me over? And somebody got a fucking gun pulled on them.
And that's illegal on the cop's part.
So I should be able to kill him.
Listen, I'm not. No, I am not.
You should say yes. Just like you said for Kyle, you should say yes, Tori. You should be able to kill that motherfucker.
Would you let me
Period.
speak? Can I speak?
Yes.
Or are you just going to keep yelling over me?
No.
Because I'm asking questions and I'm trying to speak.
Energy.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Can I get 2 words out?
YES.
You have a right.
State lines. You can say whatever you want.
You have a right to defend yourself against an illegal arrest. That is including and up to using deadly force. You do. 100%. You do. And so does the cop.
But you know that doesn't happen.
I'm just telling you what people's rights are, Jared.
All I'm telling you is just how you were quick to say if somebody pull a gun on you, you have the right to kill him.
You do.
And I want to show you how every day the profession you work in do that. Without a doubt.
And what I told you beforehand, every situation is different,
Right.
and that's why every situation has to be broken down to its base elements, and everything has to be weighed.
Right. But so once again, him being a 17-year-old kid and not fully thinking that, hey, if I go over here to do whatever my employer tells me to do, that these actions not going to happen. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying now the actions didn't happen. And when you watch the kid in court, he's trying to fake himself into a boo-hoo.
Well, have you ever seen somebody have a PTSD breakdown?
See, it's
that's what it looked like to me.
Excuses the more we go.
That's not an excuse. You think that it was fake. I think that it was a PTSD breakdown.
I don't think I'll just address. I don't think his crying was faked. I think that was complete. And you could probably. I don't. I think a lot of his testimonies or he's trying to excuse and he's trying to justify his actions. I think when he started crying, I think that was real. I think he's scared as shit. He's
a 17-year-old who killed 2 people and shot another, and he's terrified. He's terrified of going to jail. He's terrified of ramifications of it. He's reliving and having to rehash taking somebody's life. That's not an easy thing to do.
One thing I can say, man, I appreciate your sympathy on this one.
I
appreciate your sympathy. I appreciate your left-wingness. I appreciate you looking at every object except for making the correct choices.
What you mean, except making the right choices?
I feel like that kid didn't have to be out there.
He didn't, but he had a right to be.
But let me pause 1 second. Let me just get one. I want to get everybody's opinion on this before we keep. Do you think he is guilty of any crime? I'm not saying the crime he's being charged of. I'm saying, do you think that he should be held accountable and be found guilty of a crime for his actions?
It depends on the charge. I don't know the law.
I'm not asking you to. I'm talking about from what you know. If you were in a situation,
the weapons charge, yes.
If you were in a situation to say, because again, I don't know the definition of every charge either. But do you think that he should be held accountable by criminal charges for his actions?
I think the only one that's even in question, the only shot that's even in question, is the first one. All right? That's my opinion. The other 2, clear, 100%, undeniable self-defense. He's being hit in the head with a skateboard on one, and the other one is pointing a gun at his head.
Okay,
but while he's on his knees, or on his butt, excuse me, while he's on the ground.
So let me back up.
The first one.
So if the first one doesn't happen, you think the other incidences happen?
They may not, but they're separate. They're separate.
They're not. It's a chain of events.
But they're separate instances.
But it's a chain of events.
You have to take each use of force in its own, along with the totality of the.
But see, that's a whole judicial system bullshit. Because if chain 1, it's a fucking domino effect. If the first domino don't fall, the next 2 won't fall.
Well, let me ask you this. We're putting a lot on Kyle. What gives the guy a right to hit him in the head with a skateboard?
The fact that he shot the person on the side of him.
He didn't shoot this person on the side.
But you know, in the area.
He was running down the street and that guy came up and hit him with a skateboard because everybody was yelling, "Get him, get him." He just shot somebody. Okay.
I'll paint you another scenario. If there's a motherfucker holding an AR,
right,
and there's a crowd, and they say, "Get that motherfucker! He just shot somebody." You are not going to go do something to that guy? You're not going to go try to grab. I know you're not going to hit him with a skateboard because, number one, you don't carry a fucking skateboard with you.
Right.
But are you not going to go into that situation?
That depends on a lot of different things. It depends.
You're right, it depends. It's always but again, if action 1 wouldn't have happened, neither would 2 or 3.
This is the thing.
That is what you know.
This is the thing. If the guy who got his bicep blown out, the one that was pointing the gun at Kyle, had actually shot and killed Kyle, that guy would be on trial for murder.
I agree with you.
Okay? If the guy that hit him on the head with a skateboard had killed Kyle, he would be on trial for murder.
Okay.
So if both of those people would have murdered
How many
Kyle,
people have died from
then
hit in the head with a skateboard?
then you don't have to. It's
I'm talking to the phone. Continue, sir.
ask. You've been hit in the head with a blunt object because that's what it's compared to.
I get you.
So if both of those people would have murdered Kyle, Kyle doesn't have a right to defend himself against murder?
Of course he does.
Okay, so those are not even in question. They're not. The first one. So let's break the first one down because that's what you said. That's the chain of events, right?
That's what you said.
No, you said that started the chain of events.
Because that's what. It did start the chain of events.
Okay, so let's break that one down for a second. Okay, and
it's funny how you're so willing to break down this, but the whole point of him taking him out of the situation. Because again, I understand that you said that that's not illegal, and I agree with you. It's not illegal. He had every right to be there.
He did.
But your right to be there does not excuse your actions once you're there.
What actions did he do that were illegal?
He had
discharging a firearm.
He has a right to. He has a right.
He did not have a right to have that gun.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Why?
How?
Because you have a Second Amendment constitutional right to have a firearm.
It was illegal for him to have that gun.
Was he of age to have that firearm?
No.
That one specifically, that's debatable because
It's not debatable.
It is because of the way the law's written. I'm serious.
But you just were saying you don't know their laws, so
the things I've heard about their specific gun laws is very confusing, and it's written in a very gray area. So that has to be argued in court on whether or not he had a right to have that specific firearm. But he had a right to be there, and he had a right to be armed.
Illegal, right? And so right now, what is the status of that firearm in this case?
They don't know. They don't. Because the law. I'm telling you, the law is written in a weird, like it's. We'll see. Because I think if any of those things stick, it's going to be that one. That's the one that's going to get him. But even if he's underage to have that specific firearm, he still has a right to be there, and he still has a right to be armed. That doesn't change that fact.
So everybody else had the right to be armed. Even
they did 100%. 100%. I'm not even. Yes.
So now,
but they don't have a right to bang him on the head with a skateboard.
If he shot somebody, you don't have a right to.
Are they defending themselves? You don't. A citizen's arrest. Mm-hmm. The person has to comply with you saying, "Hey, I am doing a citizen's arrest." Most citizens
don't comply with policemen.
Exactly, and if they don't comply, you don't have a right to arrest them.
Shit, y'all kill them.
As a police officer, you have the right because that's
correct.
The jurisdiction you've been on.
Right,
man.
But as a citizen, if you say I'm making a citizen's arrest, citizen pause, and they say fuck you and walk away, you don't have a right to detain them like that. You don't.
So what? Maybe that's
now listen to me. I will give you this. If Kyle's running down that street, now he's carrying his rifle pointed towards the ground. It's slinged, and he's running towards the police line. Okay, he's trying to get out of there. If Kyle had turned and pointed that gun at the guy that had the gun, and that guy raised his gun and shot him, okay, right? Because he don't know what's going on. All he knows is a guy supposedly shot somebody back there, and this dude's now pointing a rifle at me, and he shot him. Self-defense, right? I'm not arguing that. Or the guy with the skateboard. If Kyle had pointed that fucking gun at him while he was trying to run away, and that guy smacked the fuck out of Kyle with that skateboard and broke his skull open all over the concrete, that's your right to defend yourself. But that's not what happened. Kyle was running away and fleeing, and he got attacked from behind by the guy with the skateboard. Actually, he got hit by somebody else, and then the guy came with the skateboard. He shot him. This other guy comes around with a firearm.
I mean,
Kyle turns, right? Sees the firearm. The guy puts the firearm down. Kyle lowers his gun. The guy then comes around and tries to circle behind him, and he turns again and shoots him. That's what happened.
The guy's gun was still pointed at Kyle?
When he shot him, yes, 100% was pointed at him. The guy even admitted that in court, that he was pointing his gun at Kyle's head when Kyle shot him. Yes. That's the picture you see the defense attorney. I mean, the prosecution attorney with his face down like this. Like the face palm.
I didn't watch it. Because I didn't want to go through
that's what that's from.
Trial and watch people try to make this right.
I mean, we don't have to necessarily agree with his reasoning because, like I said, I don't agree with the reason that he was there.
Right.
But it doesn't mean he doesn't have a right to defend himself, and it doesn't mean that what he did is illegal, and it doesn't mean that what he did is wrong.
So let's say Kyle had a baseball bat in his hand.
Okay.
When did he come in encounter with the first guy that he shot?
All right. So this is what happens. The first encounter with the first guy that they have on recording, the guy's trying to burn down a gas station, right? And Kyle actually goes and puts the fire out with a fire extinguisher. This guy, who actually was that morning released from a psychiatric hospital.
Look how we get all.
I'm just telling you the facts.
I know. The media gave you all that about this guy.
The guy is a 5-time convicted child rapist. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're not talking about somebody who's of upstanding character.
Yeah, but again, I'm gonna use your word. It's irrelevant because at the point that Kyle doesn't know any of this,
and I get that. And that's why they can't bring that up in trial. I'm just telling y'all that.
Why does it matter? Because that's what I'm saying.
Because listen,
you're trying to justify because he was a bad person.
No, what I'm trying to say by bringing up the fact that he's a bad person is he has a propensity to do bad
for bad
things.
intentions. I get that.
That's what I'm
Kyle was actually drunk somewhere and then took a picture, right? In a bar, underage, right?
Okay.
So he has to put what the word was?
Propensity
to make bad decisions, correct?
Yeah, but you're comparing underage drinking to child anal rape.
It got to start somewhere. So I mean, first he was underage drinking, now
everybody
he's
that drinks
killer.
Underage is going to go be.
He's an underage drinker, now he's a killer.
That's why he's a killer, because he drank underage. Because we all drink underage too.
I never drunk underage.
Well, most of us.
Right.
Underage.
See, so you got to make sure you're saying the right thing. But at the end of the day, I'm showing you his bad habits and how your whole.
You compare underage drinking to child rape. Yeah, anal rape. That's
well. How old is he now?
Who?
Your guy.
Kyle,
the
18.
killer. 18.
Yeah,
how old is the guy that raped somebody?
I have no idea.
How you don't know that?
I don't know.
You know all his fucking bad things, but you don't know how old he is.
I don't see how that's relevant either about how old he is.
No, I want to see if Kyle could get to his age, and let's see when he get that age, what the fuck bad decisions he made.
And he might have.
Right, but you're telling me you're comparing underage drinking to child rapists. No, I want to see how old this guy is and
comparing bad decisions.
Because right now, Kyle drinking at 17 and being drunk and having two bodies under him at 18 seems like he's putting himself in a lot of situations to make bad decisions, sir.
Well, I mean that's debatable.
Everything's debatable,
it's
but
a
when
good
you
argument,
are firm on anything, it's nothing debatable. That guy being a child rapist, we asked you what the man did. He set a fire out, right? Kyle went put the fire out. Next thing come out your mouth was his criminal background. Fox News media at its best.
I don't even watch Fox News.
Well, all right. So
stop
he
making
put the fire out. He put the fire out.
Let's go back to put the fire out. The guy that started the fire is this man.
So the guy, and the whole reason I was bringing up the guy's mental state is okay.
Because Kyle doesn't know his mental state.
Okay, but I just this
that's irrelevant, Cody.
You asked the question. I'm trying to answer the question. I'm trying to answer the question, and I'm getting yelled at.
No, you're not. I'm saying the statements you were making are.
Can I make the next statement so you can yell at me some more? Can I at least make that statement so we can yell?
Okay,
let's move this.
So this is. The guy then starts yelling at the people with guns, shoot me N-word, shoot me you mother effing N-word, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. He's obviously mentally got some mental issues. Okay, that's why I brought up.
He's yelling this at the people with guns.
Yes.
I seen this video.
The N-words, Kyle isn't the N-word.
I get that.
All right. I want the jury to understand what you're saying.
What I'm trying to illustrate, and the reason why I say he was released from a psychiatric hospital, and the fact that he has those propensities for violence, what I'm trying to get at is the guy, in my opinion, has some mental issues. Mm-hmm. Okay, so people with mental issues.
That video that's a pretty viral video.
But they don't make very good decisions either, right? The guy was mad, pissed off. And he's obviously out of his mind.
Correct.
Okay, so that's why I'm talking about.
He's not. Your
him
opinion
now.
is
in my opinion, right? In my opinion, he's not acting
out of his mind.
And what I would say in a normal fashion.
All right.
Okay.
And there were some people. I'll just add a little paint to this picture. There were people when you watch that video in that group with him that were chill. he was definitely the aggressor in this group of protesters and rioters. He was ramping everything up.
Right.
People on this side kind of backing up. A lot of people with guns and bats and shit, and these people were kind of being the aggressor, and he was the one riling everybody up.
He was talking, riling them up.
He was screaming, running around, kind of making a little muck, like, you know. He was getting the crowd crunk is kind of his thing.
So like a hype man, pretty much.
He was definitely the hype man. If
he had
you
any
want to
weapons
use
in his
that.
hands?
I don't remember.
No, he didn't.
All right. Continue.
So shortly thereafter, well, I don't know the exact time, and we can go back and look at the videos because they break it down in court, the amount of time from that incident to the time where he's chasing Kyle with a chemical bag is how they described it. And it's a bag full of unknown chemicals that he throws at Kyle while he's chasing him.
Right.
Okay. Kyle sprinting away, trying to get away from him. He's chasing him down, hollering at him, trying to attack him. Okay. Kyle actually turns and brandishes his firearm at him, and the guys stop and put their hands up. Kyle puts the gun back down and takes off running some more, trying to stop the guys from chasing him. Okay, that's what he's doing. They cornered him in between two cars. A shot goes off, not Kyle's shot. That guy's friend who was there with him fires a shot off in the air, causing Kyle to turn and bring his weapon up. The guy grabs the gun and starts pulling it away from Kyle. That's when he shoots. That's when he shoots him. The guy falls.
I'm gonna leave after he's done.
He's got to go too.
The guy falls. He runs around. He gets on the phone. I just shot somebody, and he takes off running towards the police to go turn himself in. That's when the guys attack him with the skateboard and the firearm. So you got a guy that throws a bag of something at him. He hears a shot go off behind him, turns around because he thinks he's being shot at. Dude grabs his gun and starts pulling his gun away. You have a right to defend yourself. You can't, he's being disarmed. You don't have to wait for him to disarm you and then shoot at you.
So being disarmed is a threat?
Yes. And define the self-defense 100%. If you're trying to disarm my firearm, you're not taking it to clean it. Why are you trying to take my firearm?
I'm trying to disarm you.
You don't have a right to do that. You don't have a right to disarm me.
If you've already shot somebody, I don't have a right.
This is the first person he shot.
So, in your initial statement, and I know you don't know everything, so I'm going to be lenient on you. You stated that the man had a chemical bag. Probably was a book sack, but hey, out there, he didn't know it was a chemical bag, so I'm going to give him that luxury. The media and whoever the detectives was made it a chemical bag.
Okay.
You also stated Kyle took off running, right?
Right.
He turns around and he flashes his gun. The guys put their hands up and stop.
Right.
So I done pointed a gun at you.
Yes.
By 10 minutes earlier, I now have the right to kill you.
Right. If you're in immediate danger. As soon as he lowers that gun, you're not in immediate danger anymore.
How I'm supposed to know that he's not going to pick that bitch back up and shoot me, Cody?
Why didn't the guy just stop chasing him and attacking him?
Cody, you see how your stories always.
But then he wasn't supposed to do this.
You see, that's why
why the chain of events. I keep going back to the chain of events because.
But he didn't shoot him at that point.
He pointed that gun. Again, so that was a threat on my life. So right now you're fair game.
That's not how it works.
It's never how it's worked. But that is exactly what you did.
Listen to me. If Kyle had turned and pointed that gun at that man, and that man pulled up a gun and shot Kyle, we'd be having a totally different conversation.
Right, but Kyle already put that man's life in danger when he put the gun up, by your standards.
Yes.
So remember earlier you said the guy with the gun that got his tricep blew off? Yeah. You said he pointed the gun at Kyle.
Yes.
He then put the gun to his side. Kyle lowered his gun.
Yes.
You then said the guy did nothing but try to get behind Kyle.
No, that's not what I said.
What you said?
He went behind Kyle and pointed a gun at his face.
That's not what you said.
Watch, roll the tape back. That's 100% what I said. He came around and pointed. You even asked again.
You said he came around Kyle and pointed the gun at his head.
Right.
Is what you said.
Right. Okay, head.
Well, I mean, the reason I'm going to say that difference is because I can point a gun at your head from a distance, and then putting a gun in your face is...
No. He was. They're within arm's distance.
Okay. I didn't know. I'm just saying.
They're within arm's distance. See? You even asked me. He was pointing a gun at him at that time, and I said yes.
Yes, and that's when he put his head down and
right
and shot him.
He shot him while the bicep he shot was the hand he was holding the gun in.
Yeah. So it gave him the right because he pointed a gun at it.
Yes.
So why isn't the right the same for the guy that Rittenhouse pointed the gun at?
I just told you.
What?
Like when
but it was 1-1 and then 1-1.
Right.
So who has that right?
So
that's all. I guess that's where he's going.
Okay.
With it. Like, so I draw on you and put down. You draw on me and put down. I go around and I draw on you again and pow, you shoot me.
Yes.
That means you. Why is that not equal responsibility?
Because it's
kind of like NFL, right? Offset flags. It's not, both y'all fucked up.
That's not how it works. Okay. Listen to me. The thing.
Again, I can't argue a law. I don't know.
What I'm telling you.
But I'm just saying it's equally fucked up.
What I'm telling you is when you have an immediate threat.
But there was two immediate threats. Bam, immediate threat. Nobody reacted. So what allows him to say that the second time it happens, it's an immediate threat?
Because he's pointing the gun at his head. Right?
But he pointed the gun at his head.
He could have shot him the first time. He absolutely could have shot him.
But he didn't.
Okay.
Because that's restraint, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Right, because the guy put his gun back down.
So how you know he wouldn't have done it the second time?
You don't, but you don't listen to me. You don't.
I'm aware you don't know, and I get all of that.
Let me think. You don't
get that argument
because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to wait. He could have shot him the first time.
I understand that.
He doesn't have to wait till he's being shot at to shoot.
I don't disagree with you.
Then I don't even understand what this argument's about.
I'm not arguing. I'm sitting. My whole stance on this.
And I was about to answer that, but we got on this track.
Stance.
Let me just answer this for Tori real quick, okay? You don't have a right. Let's say I'll point a gun at Jared right now. Jared can't leave, go get his gun, and come back 5 minutes later and shoot me because that immediate threat's not there. Right?
Immediate means immediate. I understand what immediate threat is. I get that.
Even if I point a gun at Jared and he takes off into his office and he grabs a gun and he comes back around and my gun's on the table and my hands are up.
It's not immediate.
It's not immediate. Okay? It's not an immediate threat. If he comes back around that corner and I'm still pointing a gun at him, he can absolutely shoot me.
But when you're in a gun fight, the word immediate is stretched.
And
timelines are stretched.
They are.
Right? So it's no longer this is an immediate. Right? It's not just like, oh, it happened. But if I point, pull, you run away, I point, drop, and we even draw at the same time and both come down at the same time, this motherfucker done pulled the gun on me twice now.
Right. So I have to give him a third time, a fourth time, a fucking shot?
No, you don't have to give him a second time as your position.
Right.
I get that. So this is, and again, I don't know the legality behind it. My whole stance is that this kid needs to be held accountable for his actions. Whether what he did fits within. I'm not saying he murdered anybody. Okay, right? I don't know. I don't know the levels of crimes.
But if it's, listen to me, if it's self-defense, which I think it is.
But wait, sit down. Give me 2 minutes.
It's 8 o'clock, though.
If it's self-defense, which I think that it is, then he's not guilty of any kind of lesser crime either. He was defending himself. The only crime that they might have, and I say might because the way the laws are written there,
is the gun issue.
But it's the same.
I propose to you.
Not that he had a gun, that he had that specific
correct.
gun.
With a vehicular homicide situation, is that if I go out and I have a handful of beers and I'm slightly over a legal limit, right, and I hit somebody,
right,
and I say, you know what, I'm going to turn myself in.
Right.
I turned myself. The cops didn't come. I turned myself in, and the cops arrest me for vehicular homicide.
Okay.
Because I shouldn't have been at the bar room.
No, they're arresting you because you shouldn't have been drinking and driving.
But it's a chain of events. He shouldn't have had the gun.
Listen to me. They're not arresting you because you're at the bar room.
No, it's because of the chain of events that happened after I was at the bar room.
You're arrested because you hit somebody and killed them with a car while you were inebriated. That's what you would be getting arrested for. I don't understand that comparison.
But it's not because even if I'm driving, right, and I'm driving at excessive speed, if they say that I was doing 58 in a 50 and I hit somebody and I died and they got killed.
That's not vehicular homicide.
The hell it can't be.
You have to be inebriated for it to be vehicular homicide.
But there's still a charge that could be negligence homicide is the other word. Why he can't be charged with negligence homicide in these cases.
If we were in Louisiana,
right? I don't know how
if we were in Louisiana and they showed that his actions were negligent, then absolutely he could.
I mean,
but I'm gonna tell you right now that's a hard one. That's a hard.
Look, you can't tell me that a business owner hired a 17-year-old to arm to be armed and protect his property. Number one, bullshit, negligence. Number two, he shouldn't have had the gun, right? It was illegally obtained because, from what I heard, it was because it was purchased by somebody who could legally purchase it and gave it to him. That's testimony.
But that's not illegal possession of a firearm.
If he can't legally purchase it, he shouldn't be able to legally hold it, have it.
But Louisiana's the same way with that, Bubba. Like you can't. At 18 years old, I couldn't legally buy a firearm.
You absolutely can buy a firearm.
I couldn't buy a pistol, right? At 18 years old.
Then
But I could possess one, and that's what the law says. I couldn't buy my bullets until I was 21 years old for my own gun. I was a cop at 18 years old. My mom had to go to Walmart and buy my bullets for me, but I can legally possess them. That's those gun laws.
But he shouldn't even legally possess that gun.
You're right.
So he should have had it. So it's negligence.
But if he had a gun that was legal,
but he didn't.
Listen to me. It's not.
Later, T.
Later, Tor. It's not like the fact that he had a gun, right? It's not illegal. It's the fact that he had that specific gun, okay? Because of his age. But six months later, there wouldn't even be a question, okay? And
you can't keep doing that though. Whenever you like,
stop. Please let me finish. And we don't know for sure because of the way those laws are written, where he's at, if it was 100% illegal for him to have that firearm, right? That's something that they would have to debate in court, right? Because it's not even 100% that was illegal, that firearm was illegal for him to have, right? It's some way the laws are written. I'm not 100% familiar with it, but all the legal experts that I've read, they said that there's an argument that he actually was able to have that firearm. Like there's a legal argument. That's something that had to be taken up in court, okay? Had he had a shotgun, okay, which he legally could have been walking around with, and did the same incidents happen, and he responded the same way, and he killed 2 and injured 1, then what?
I still think you should be held accountable for taking somebody's life.
But he was defending his own.
See, I just don't. Again, I'm not talking legally, right? I'm talking because you keep saying you take things in situations,
right?
And the first one you said shouldn't have happened.
I didn't say it shouldn't have happened. What I said was that's the only one that's even remotely in question.
Okay, so it's in question. If it's in question,
like that's the only one. That's the only one that I would see. Like, okay, so let's say I'm a prosecuting attorney. Okay, that's the only one that I would feel comfortable going to court with and raising any kind of an argument. I still think it was self-defense on Kyle's part because as soon as the guy grabbed his firearm and tried to disarm him, he has a right to shoot him. Okay, he does. Whether you agree with it or not, he has that right. He has a right to defend himself. You can reasonably argue that if he loses control of his firearm or that guy's able to take his firearm,
he can kill him with his own firearm. I understand all that.
So you have that right to be able to shoot him. But that's the only one because of the situation that I would even remotely say, okay, let it go out in court. He's probably going to be found innocent. Blah blah. Those other two, that's 100. Like that's not even in question to me.
I get it.
Those two were 100% self-defense shootings. 100%. Like your point. Now, we say that, oh, well, he thought it was, the other two thought it might have been a mass shooting and they have a guy running around. And like I told you, even when they take that into account and Kyle points a rifle at him and he shoots him, I think the guy would have had an argument, right? I thought it was a mass shooter. The guy turned and pointed his rifle at me. Even if he doesn't think it's a mass shooter, you got a guy run down the street with a gun, and he turns and points a gun at you, and that guy shoots him. I get it. Now, would have been messed up because like I said, Kyle before I think was self-defense, but I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, and look,
I mean, the whole thing is unfortunate.
Absolutely,
this is not
absolutely.
I don't think anybody went out there in that situation with an intent to kill somebody. I think the rioters went out with intent to destroy property.
Absolutely.
Did not go out with the intent to kill somebody.
Right. I agree with that. I don't think the first guy, the one that was doing the hollering and screaming, I don't think
I think he was deranged, he was crazy.
Absolutely.
I do not think he was any
I think that was an unfortunate mental health thing.
Yep.
Right?
I would agree.
And he shouldn't have been on the streets. A, because of his priors, he shouldn't have been on the streets. And B, because of his mental status, I don't think he should have been on the streets. Right?
But he has that right.
He has a right to be out on the streets. Absolutely.
if they can prove, right, that he's not a danger to himself or somebody else. Okay, but this goes back to our whole podcast about the state of our mental health facilities throughout the whole nation.
Absolutely.
And just mental health in general. That man should have been receiving treatment, right? Take the whole fact about him being a child rapist and all this stuff out of the equation. He obviously had some mental issues, and he probably should have still been in that hospital. He was released for like COVID protocols and that kind of stuff. That's why they released him.
Overcrowding and
right. Not because he was cured or not because he was on his medication.
Past evaluation.
Right. None of that. He was released because of overcrowding and COVID. They put that man back out on the streets. Okay. So like I said, I think that's an unfortunate mental health thing. But it doesn't change the fact that Kyle had a right to defend himself. And like I said, the only argument's the firearm. Put a shotgun in Kyle's hand and see if you still feel the same way.
I would still feel the same way.
That he what?
Because and again, I know it's not illegal, but I just think it's a negligent behavior. It's unfortunate for everybody, but I think when you put yourself even in a legal situation, and your actions turn out to be,
but I get where you're going. And I'll ask you this: at what point?
If he's a 27-year-old, this changes my mind. I'll just say that. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't. We're talking about how we feel and what our opinion is.
Right, no, I get that.
Because I don't think as a 17-year-old, again, if you're going to bring the argument that he was hired to do something, then again,
I don't know if they were necessarily paid, Jared.
Whether it's paid or not.
Right.
Right? I'm not hired doesn't necessarily, I mean, I understand the terminology, but what I'm saying is that there's nothing that, for me, that justifies him being there. In the chain of events, I just can't get past. And I'm not talking from a legal perspective, right?
And
that's my whole...
And I said this from the start. I agree that he should not have been there. I agree with that. And as a parent, my 17-year-old son says, "Dad, this car lot wants me to go." Your ass, you're staying home. You're not going over there. I'm going. You are not. You're gonna walk, right? Like I'm not bringing my kid to that, and he's not.
He was brought by his parents.
I think his mom brought him because his dad lives in Kenosha. Like I think she brought him to the dad's house, and then he went. But I would not want my son. Even if my son was 27, I wouldn't want him out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get that. I get that 100%. But that doesn't take away from what he did. That doesn't justify what they did to him. This is just an opinion base. I think they saw a baby-faced boy with a gun that they were going to attack,
overpower,
and overpower,
yeah,
and put it on video. I don't know if they were going to necessarily kill him.
They wouldn't have killed him,
but I think they were going to beat him up. I think they were going to beat him and take his gun.
Yep.
And they saw him as a victim, and they took advantage of that, not realizing that he would shoot. And I think when he actually turned to brandish that gun and he didn't shoot them, that emboldened them even a little more. Right? That he definitely ain't shooting us. He's just posturing. Right?
Yeah, I don't.
And he didn't shoot them until the guy grabbed his gun. Well, first off, what made him turn around the second time was a gunshot. There was a gunshot behind him by that guy's friend or associate or somebody else in that same crowd. They shot a round off in the air. I don't know if it was to try to spook Kyle or what the intent was, but they fired a round off in the air, and that's what had made him turn with that firearm. And when he did, that guy grabbed that gun and pulled it, and that's when Kyle shot. I mean, at what point do we hold the supposed victims accountable for what they did?
You do, yeah. Everybody. I personally never said you shouldn't. I think that everybody. Rioters, protesters, kind of what they did with the Washington, I don't know what they even call it these days, the protest that turned bad.
Right, the whole December whatever insurrection.
Insurrection. Right. I'm way more knowledgeable on that than I am on this. But just the way they're going back and looking at all these videos and going through social media, and they're knocking on doors and they're arresting people.
But that should be done across the board with all the riots.
I agree. That's what I'm getting at. I think
I will say this from what I gather, the Kenosha prosecutor. Now, this guy's a horrible prosecutor. I don't know if you've watched any of him actually.
I have, and I think the judge is another problem that I have.
Have you heard the judge talking to the prosecutors and fussing them?
Yes.
Part of that, and I don't know how much you've gone back, but part of that is because he set specific rules for the trial,
pre-hearing,
and the prosecution is trying to push a mistrial. That's what it appears to the judge, and he doesn't like that because he doesn't want a mistrial. He wants the jury
to make a decision. All judges want that,
right? He doesn't want the mistrial, but the prosecution is getting their tail whooped. It's going bad for him.
If the judge doesn't be careful, the judge is going to create a mistrial.
He won't. He won't. Like there's legal experts on both sides, like left and right, that I've watched, that are all saying the defense right now, even if Kyle loses the case, they already have grounds for mistrial from the stuff the prosecution has done.
No doubt.
So, but I think they kind of have that ace in the hole. But I think the prosecution is trying to push for it. I really do. I really think that there's no way he's an attorney and he's that stupid. And this guy's supposed to be
he's a good one.
He's supposed to be a good one.
He's got a good resume.
He's supposed to be a seasoned trial lawyer. There's no way he's making those mistakes.
He's not. It's calculated.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
That's how I feel.
That's his job. Right? I mean, I'm not saying it's right.
Right.
But that's what trial lawyers do. If I can't win, I definitely ain't going to lose.
Right.
Right? And that's the option of a mistrial.
And I think that's why the judge is scorning him, because he doesn't want a mistrial. The judge wants him to follow the rules and do it so that the jury can make a decision. Now, from what I understand, they've actually given the jury lesser charges to charge Kyle with.
That's the new this couple days ago.
Right. But again, I don't see it, man. Like I
think if the charges there's no doubt if the charges lay out as they are right now with a murder trial, he's going to be found innocent in self-defense.
I would hope so.
And I agree with you. And like I said, I don't think that he went out there with the intent to kill somebody.
No, I don't either.
But when you go out with a weapon at a place, and I get it, that you are legally entitled to be at, but you have no business being there. For me, it changes it.
It looks bad. I get it. The optics
and I take it, like you said, with the business. Like, if I'm a business owner and that happens to me and I'm protecting my business, that just gives you so much more grounds and justifies your reason of being there.
Right.
But when you put yourself in a bad situation and bad shit happens, you should be accountable for the bad shit that happens.
You know what I really think a lot of the accountability should fall on? And I know it's going to sound, I guess, weird coming from me. And I wish we had gotten to this with Tori here. I think it's the accountability for the whole situation falls on the local government for allowing the rioting, the inaction of the police, right? And the inaction of the prosecutors when the stuff first started, right? And then also the media.
The media is number one for me,
because that whole Kenosha thing was over the Blake shooting, which if they had just paused for half a second and waited a few more days, the guy was reaching for a knife in his car. But what I'm getting at is so you have the media hyping things up, you have a local government who's not doing anything.
Oh, they did a lot. But they were counterproductive in their actions. You have
the unwillingness to prosecute, which I think they're actually starting to do some of that now, the prosecution. And then you have the police who are just kind of cordoning off streets and trying to keep the burning to a minimum instead of going out and actually. But I don't know how much pressure they got from their local government for that. But
because the environment, if you would have deployed a police situation, there'd have been a whole lot more than 2 people dead.
I don't know about that, man, because the police were deployed in the a lot of the riots in Washington. They were deployed, and they used gas, and they used
non-lethal,
right? Yeah, and the crowd dispersed, right? Yeah. They gassed them until they started wearing gas masks. Then they started using
sandbags,
and the pepper ball guns and those type of pain compliant non-lethal options to get the crowd to disperse, and they hurt, by the way.
Dude, so there's a thing, not to change, but we're about to wrap up, so I'll transition this anyway. We're definitely gonna come back to the Rittenhouse thing because I want Tori, but there is a I don't know if it's on HBO. I don't know what was on, but there's a fairly lengthy documentary on the insurrection. And they pull all of these videos from people's cell phones and it's leaning. It's definitely a lean thing. So, but there's this guy that gets shot in the face with one of those rubber, right in the cheek.
Probably broke his cheekbone.
Oh, dude, it literally impaled him. Like he had a ball and they pull it out and he's got a hole in his face from this, So the whole, and it had to be pretty close that he was shot at, because those they lose trajectory, they lose velocity relatively quickly. But it was, watch that, because they actually talked to some Capitol officers that there's this tunnel that the protesters were trying to get through. I say the protesters, the insurrectioners or whatever their name is, were trying to come through this tunnel to get, like they had already broke into one side, they were trying to get to the other side. And the Capitol Police literally made a human wall with their shields, and it was hours long battle.
Oh yeah.
And they interviewed some of these cops. One of the cops, he kind of came in secondhand. He comes in from the back, and he's like, "All right, we're new, so if you're tired in the front, come to the back." And they were kind of transitioning people. Right. Well, when he got to the front, and they were making headway, and he was pushing and pushing and pushing. They were pushing these people out the tunnel so they could get the doors closed. Well, when they got to the door, they grabbed him. Like they got inside of his shield.
Oh, that's the one they pulled.
They pulled on top of him, and he talks, bro, and he gives a real, and it was like, it gives you both sides, right? Like it's a really.
Well, I mean, I think insurrection is a word that they're trying to use to make that different from the other riots. I said from the start of all that, a riot is a riot is a riot. Yeah. And every one of them that's breaking the law should be going to jail. A little bit more than a riot,
though, because
because of the location.
Exactly.
And I get that.
I don't think
but
this
to call it an
overthrow,
insurrection, right?
I think they
I think they were going to go in there and vandalize the place, and they were trying to make a statement.
They had some of these people, because there were some of the people that got arrested later on down the road that they interviewed, and a couple of them tell you point blank is that if it would have come to if they were able to, some of them had the idea like that. That's why when it first started, they were like, "No, we're just going to protest," and then we were like, the talk amongst crowds were like, "Hey, like we need to do this. Like it's time, like we need to get it." And then Trump's comments kind of a little bit fueled a big enough portion of them to where when that word and that started spreading, it kind of like, okay, but so
some of that plays a telephone game too.
Well, that's exactly what it was,
right?
Because
Trump, I really do think Trump was trying to talk that crowd.
Not at first,
and stuff. Well, right, but when, I think he was trying to amp them up.
They
not to make them go riot and storm the Capitol. I think he was trying to get everybody riled up, and then when he saw that it was starting to get out of hand, I think he started trying to
He was hours late though, because they timelined it, and as soon as he says, "Y'all go home," it was minutes, and the crowd, but even again, the police that were like.
But again, it's a lot. Like I said, a lot of that is the telephone game. Hey man, Trump said we should rise up, or whatever. Trump said we should fight. Trump said we should kill. Trump said,
we need to, storm the Capitol.
Right.
I agree with that. There's no doubt about it. That's the.
But again, I've never taken the position that those people should walk. Like if they that's an arrestable offense, arrest them. Like I think the equal application of the law needs to be paramount. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the problems fall in with all the politics getting involved. Like leave it out of it. Equal application of the law for all. And that's how it should. That's why the frickin' Lady Justice has a blindfold on. Yep.
Keep politics out of medicine.
Right.
Keep politics out of law enforcement. Right. I know you have policy, but once the policy and the laws are written,
right.
But again, there's so many, like you said, with the gun laws and this, there's so many. There's a reason lawyers write these laws, right. And there's a reason they try.
I've been saying that for years. There's a reason why laws are written in gray. That's so attorneys can have jobs.
Yep.
If they were written very specific and in black and white, they wouldn't even need a lawyer. Like, did he do this? Yes. Okay. Well, then you're guilty, right? Like, it's not. But they write them in such a way that they're up for interpretation.
And it cause reasonable doubt.
Right.
And I get that because there are things, like you said, the human element of things and things that have become situational. But not to keep beating this dead horse, we're a little bit over where we're going to go, but I wish Tori could have finished out with us, but he had to get to work.
He had to get to work, right.
And I know Cody's got somewhere to be, and we all got so much still going on with all the storm crap.
Absolutely. Tori, when you rewatch this, bro, love you, respect your opinion. I know
we're going to tackle him back on because this is going to happen for the next couple weeks.
Right.
So, I'm interested to see where everybody goes when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'd like our viewers to hit the comment section and
please.
Let's.
I'm bad at it. I'm trying to get better. But
I would just there's so many people on the outside of it that I really think breaking it down and trying to take the emotion out of it and showing just the side of it of having to make those split second decisions and I think we can all agree that a 17-year-old boy with a firearm had no business being there, right? We can all agree on that, but you have to take that part of it out when you start talking about self-defense, because as long as he had a legal right to be there and he wasn't doing anything illegal, then the self-defense portion trumps all those emotions,
Yeah, that's sad though.
And look, I'm not debating that.
I know.
Like I said, I truly think that the first incident was the guy had some mental health issues, and should not have been on the streets, right?
So
not that he didn't have a right
about the
to
chain
be
of
there.
events. Again, if that first shot doesn't happen, neither do the second two.
Well, but I mean, it could also be argued that
I'm talking about on his side. If that guy, if the mental guy wouldn't have been in that situation and wouldn't have got shot the first time, so.
But I mean, we can go back a step further, and if that other person in the crowd didn't fire that round off in the air to cause Kyle to turn around, I think Kyle keeps running. And if he outruns these people, or he gets to a position where he can get to the police line, and people start seeing blue lights, they might back off. I mean, we can what if it to death.
Yeah.
But I really think that had that shot not gone off, Kyle never turns around. The guy doesn't get close enough to grab Kyle's gun. We're not even having this conversation. You got a kid running towards the police. So I mean, we can back it up that step further too.
I know, and we'll get back on it again. So I'm just glad we're back at it, man. I hope we get back into more of a some kind of normal routine with this again, and where we can come back again every week. We haven't posted a video in a couple months because of the storm and all that fun stuff, but hopefully, we're rolling. So till next time, everybody. The wide, the divide's not so wide.
Peace.